Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back with another BKFC Reddit Ask Me Anything. We're joined by Lubo Guedjev.
How you doing, sir?
Great. So, are you BKFC CEO of Bulgaria or Europe? Like, what's your job title?
Uh, I don't think I have an official job title. I'm just a BKFC representative
Okay.
for Bulgaria.
Okay, Bulgaria, your guys' venue was beautiful. Like that I want to go over there to watch a fight there. That place looked phenomenal. Like that was what a wonderful building you guys got.
Thank you. Yeah, this is the best venue in the capital.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had heard that your president was supposed to show up. Did something happen, or was he there and he just couldn't say anything?
No, I think that's a rumor, man.
Oh,
we
okay.
we weren't expecting the president.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it must have been a rumor going around because I was told like, oh, the Bulgarian president's gonna come. I thought, well, this is gonna be
No.
amazing. Okay, so outside of Bulgaria, where do you see BKFC in Europe this year?
So we had a discussion with the president, David Feldman. We're looking at Serbia, Spain, and Turkey
Okay.
right now.
Yeah, like you travel a lot. You don't like to be home. Well, I mean, you like to be home, but I mean, you're a guy who's always on the go. Like every time I talk to you, hey, I'm on the plane. I'm going here. It's difficult to pin you down.
Well, it's yeah, I'm lucky enough to have business and work that is related with traveling.
Okay, so outside of BKFC, what do you do for business?
So my main business is the mobile application Fight Scout, which is something like LinkedIn for the combat sports industry, but we also do live streaming of amateur events, similar to what Flow Grappling does. And this is my main thing. And then I also organize events. BKFC is obviously the the main thing or the biggest event that I've had the honor of organizing. But I do MMA shows, I do grappling, I do jiu-jitsu. I have my own academy in Sofia. I teach Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So that's what I do mostly.
The Fight Scout app is a pretty cool app. When you guys posted it, I got it. Like I was able to watch the BKFC Prospect, the amateurs. I was able to watch them fight on there. It is a cool app, and all the fighters tend to use it too. So I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was something that the industry needed. Uh, it's unparalleled. We're the only application that allows users to create their own profile so they can display all their achievements, especially ones that don't have professional record or that have uh, an impressive amateur record. And that is typically hard to find from managers or from promoters. The information is scattered around the internet, different combat sports, different organizations. So this was the main objective, to provide one platform where everyone can list their achievements. That's why we compare it to LinkedIn in that regard.
Okay, so are you looking to sign fighters from other organizations, or do you want to like try to grow your own talent for BKFC over there in Bulgaria?
So Bulgaria, just to make a note from my end on the location itself, the only reason we do shows in Bulgaria is the fact that I do have some infrastructure there, and I've done a lot of events, so I have a small team that helps me out.
Okay.
But Bulgaria is not an objective as a country at all. It was more like the first step so we can study the market, study the reaction of other European countries and plan expansion across Europe. Because typically, American organizations that decide to go in Europe are almost always targeting either UK, which is no longer part of the EU,
Right.
but they're looking at France and Germany, and here maybe someone looks at Sweden, you know. But the southeast of Europe, which is the former East European bloc, and then if we include Greece and Turkey, it's a 200 million people market. But society in general respects martial arts, and almost everyone likes martial arts. So society is not putting a bad label on our sport and claiming to be violent or aggressive. People actually respect that. So The only reason, again, to be in Bulgaria was the fact that we wanted to test. Well, I was able to convince David to test the European market, and we just used my country because I've done events there. But the
Okay.
focus is to expand, and from that perspective, we would obviously sign any fighter who delivers a good fight, who has an audience, and who is a good seller.
Okay, so I know a lot of people really like that you had Grant Waterman doing the announcing. Will he be doing the announcing for your next fight?
For this show, he won't be available, so we're expecting the official BKFC announcer,
Okay, Jeff Houston's going to come over.
Jeff Houston. Yeah,
Oh, very cool. I'm sure he'll love that.
yeah.
Grant Waterman just has such a great voice, and he's such an icon that a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe BKFC Bulgaria was able to get him."
Well, I've worked with him for, I don't know, maybe almost 20 years.
Okay.
So that was a natural choice for me.
What are you hoping goes better for this next show that didn't go as well as you had planned for the first BKFC Bulgaria show?
There are two very distinct elements that I would like to deliver better. One of them is the quality of the fights. So for the first event, although we had the who's and who's of the Bulgarian fighting world, Bulgaria, like I said, it's a very small market, but we had more interest shown from athletes who come from grappling or MMA sports. And that was the reason few of the fights were not as entertaining and did not display the beauty of boxing, if we may say so.
Okay.
On this event, we've selected the fighters much more carefully. We paid attention to reviewing their previous fights or their training routines to sort of be able to guarantee a higher quality of fight. So that's one element. The second element, in my opinion, would be the production in terms of videography, because the team that did the first event did not really follow the BKFC sort of guidelines, and we did not have the footage that we're used to see on
Sure.
other BKFC events. So David helped us with that too. He will send an expert from BKFC now to sort of supervise and monitor what the production company does and how they play with the cameras this time. So these two elements I hope to be better, and that will obviously contribute to an overall better event.
It doesn't seem like you brought many people back from the first show, but there is a couple people that are coming back. Who are you really impressed with at your first show?
From the first show, I was very impressed with the two guys that won the best fight, Romanian Florin Lubo against the Egyptian fighter. They really displayed a very high level of skill.
Sure.
There was a Bulgarian who is fighting against Vasilin Ivanov, and when I used to compete, we were competing at the same period of time, and I was surprised to see he's still competing. So I was very glad to see that not only he stepped in the ring again, but he actually showed a really high level of boxing skills, although his background is sambo. So I was really gladly satisfied with what he did. And then obviously we had a few other guys like the Brazilian guy who is fighting again, and Kaloyan, who is the main event. I felt sorry he couldn't show his skills truly because his opponent chose to place ice skating on the ring. So
Right.
we hope to see him in a better light this time.
Do you have any tryouts coming up over there? I'm really enjoying watching the tryouts on TV because I like being able to see people and like learn a little bit about them. Like, do you have any tryouts coming up that will feature your people?
So we're planning to make one or two BKFC prospect in Bulgaria, and we're also aiming at doing possibly an amateur prospect in Turkey and Serbia just to test the water and see what interest would we have from these two markets.
I feel like Turkey's going to be huge. We have Murat, who fights over here in the United States. He has a huge following, and it seems like every time he fights, you see like a bunch of Turkish people are following. Yeah, so I think Turkey's going to be enormous for BKFC.
I believe so too. We have Yunus, as you saw on the fight card. He lost the first his first fight in BKFC, but he did an amazing job. He's really skilled striker. We have him again, and I also believe Turkey is a very promising market. We actually receive more applications from Turkey than from any other country.
Oh wow. Okay, so one of the funny stories you told me, you were telling me how like you ref fights, and you're an MMA guy, but you ref, and then and a guy's opponent didn't show up, so you went from refing to fighting that night. Like, have you always just been a guy who's a take charge guy, and you know what, you do what you got to do to make the show go on?
I think I would rephrase it slightly. I think in my younger age, I was a guy who considered refusing something or saying no as a sign of weakness. So I did take a lot of fights without being properly ready or prepared, which is the reason why I never built a successful fighting career. But I just thought that's a weakness. So the story you're referring to happened in Russia, and I was supposed to referee on the event. I was out of shape and not prepared in any way. But like I said, I just think saying no or refusing a fight is a sign of weakness. So I did take the fight. I fought one of the best Russian fighters of all times. I got beat up, obviously, but
Yeah.
it was fun.
So I do love that you at least come from a combat background. You know, it's great to like when the head of the organization, and you know, you're the CEO over there, when you have that no nonsense, and I've been in there and I've mixed it up with guys, like you have that experience, and you can, and you know what to like look for in fighters. So I think it's great that they have somebody like you over there in charge.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I also I do believe that having background that connects different dots from the industry. I was in the beginning. I was a referee. I was the head judge for ADCC for 7 years. So I learned how to judge, and I learned to respect the rules and know the rules. Then I became a fighter, and I realized how hard it is to build a career, to find a good manager, to have a good coach, and to win the audience. And then I was a promoter, so I get to learn everything about lighting, live stream, broadcasting, TV rights, copyrights, organization, management, and all that. And then knowing all these aspects helped me to treat fighters the right way. It helped me to communicate and negotiate with everyone much better. And I also understand almost every element of the game, and that helps me to make things better, or at least I try.
So you and I have talked quite a bit online, but I was so excited to see you when I saw you across the arena in Miami, and I was like, oh my god, Lubo's here. So then I go up to you and I say, hell, you know, how long are you here for? And you're like, I'm literally just here for a day or two. And I said,
Yeah.
well, aren't you going to do any sightseeing? And you said, what do I need to sightsee for? You Americans put everything in the movies. Like, you just.
Yeah. Well, every country has its beauty, obviously, but I've always been more fascinated to see the small streets and the way people live in a country, not really the tourist destinations.
So do you, when you travel, do you try to, I know you go for business, but I mean, do you try to get off the beaten path and go like explore like little stuff? Is that what you like to enjoy doing?
I hardly ever do that. I focus on what I have to do during the work, and then I just walk around if I have some free time, get the taste of the place that I'm in.
So you guys made those really cool Bulgaria watches. Are you wearing your watch, or did you leave it back in Bulgaria?
I'm leaving it in Bulgaria. It's a watch that I don't think it's something you need to wear all the time. It draws attention. It's cool. I pick the occasions on which I wear it.
It's a cool watch. And then so I talked to Serge and I said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to interview Lubo," and he said bring up that you guys like to when he and Nelson first met you, he wasn't sure like if you were going to be very professional, and he and Nelson and Dave and Serge like to tease each other and break each other's balls, and they said, "Oh, we weren't sure if Lubo was going to be super serious." And then he picks us up and we start breaking balls immediately. He goes, "He's such a great guy."
Well, there was an immediate chemistry between three of us, man. I mean, I've worked with a lot of people over the years, and I can't recall uh, an occasion where the core of the team of an organization are mixing fun, jokes, and professionalism so well. And I would include David Feldman in this regard. I mean,
Sure.
Sarge, Nelson, and David are extremely professional, very hardworking. We stayed when Nelson and Sarge came for the tryouts. We stayed up until midnight, and they've just arrived late night before the tryouts. So we woke up early, did the tryouts, and they stayed up until midnight to try and filter the candidates. So they're very hardworking, but we never miss opportunity to make jokes and break each other's balls. So yeah, there was an immediate chemistry there.
Okay, and then the last thing, Serge said he wants to tell you that you are a relentless worker who won't stop until you get what needs to be done, and that's why he thinks you're the perfect guy for the job over there.
Well, I appreciate that. I did suffer a lot from that quality of mind, not to let go. I've held on to a lot of things for too long, and it had negative ending. But that's the way I am. When I start something, I really want to take it to the end.
Okay, and then so what would you say your biggest goal for this year for BKFC Europe is?
My biggest goal, my biggest goal. Talking a lot of talks about balls.
Yeah.
I would say if we can do 2 more countries this year, I would be very happy, very glad.
I think it's great that BKFC UK is already introducing the BKFC Europe belt. I think that's going to be great to give the guys something to shoot for. So I think I can't wait to see a little bit more across. Like somebody from Bulgaria go to the UK, and I know like you guys brought in like last time you brought in the guy who from Italy, but he trains in the UK, and James Lilly from the UK. So like I said, it's so cool that you guys have that market. And you guys can all fly around and do such big shows.
Yeah, we're in very good communication with the BKFC UK. We try to exchange few fighters, and I'm obviously more than happy to collaborate. And Europe, on one of your earlier questions, when you asked me about fighters from different promotions and signing them in Europe, it's a bit different market than US, because every country operates more or less on its own, and we don't have so many fighters overall in Europe that are signed with an organization exclusively. I think KSW is the only organization in Europe that has rather strict contracts, but even they are open, and we have actually 2 participants that have contract with KSW. So yeah, I mean, Europe is a very peculiar market. Every country has its own specifics, own language. It's not easy to use a single platform. Let's say for selling tickets, it's impossible to use one platform because people speak different languages. So each one has their own specifics. We need to find good collaborators, good partners in these countries in order to expand properly.
Yeah, the one thing that like you touched on language. So like when your last fight, I messaged all your fighters, "Hey, do you have good enough English to do an interview?" No, English bad. And I was able to find the guy from Poland, Druski. I was able to get him. He said, "Oh yeah, I can English good enough," but yeah, that was the one challenge was the English.
Yeah, well, in fact, a lot of them speak English, but they feel very shy speaking in front of a camera, which is understandable. But the language does present some difficulties, especially when promoting the event. We need to do separate video in English that's for audience outside of Bulgaria, and for Bulgaria, we have to do it in Bulgarian. And I think it will be the same with any other country that we do in Europe. And I experienced that with Fight Scout as well, because people from Spain are like, man, we don't know English, so they cannot use the app because it's just in English. And I'm like, it's hard, but it's specifics of the market,
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing all these other countries you go to. We look forward. I like I said, I think you probably have one of the nicest arenas ever. Like I want to watch so many fights there.
Well, thank you, man. I hope.
All right. And I will include your social media, and then I'll put a link to Fight Scout, because I use Fight Scout. Like I said, I know a bunch of the American fighters use Fight Scout. Like it's great that like you were able to do all that. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Well, have a safe trip, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.